Hello, ladies and gents! I've been thinking about featuring the Swedish premium tank destroyer, the STRV S1, on the channel for a while now, but I've been keeping postponing it as really the best matches are typically a complete farm fest in this machine. Now the upcoming replay, while certainly being rather juicy, is basically no different for the most part. I think this one gives us the perfect opportunity to talk about this perhaps underappreciated machine a little. So, over 7000 damage in a T-rate machine, anyone? Then check this out. So, here we are in the S1, this time around in an encounter match on good old Murovanka. Now, having a really quick look at the matchmaking, we got ourselves into a fairly standard match, at least by the new matchmaking standards. About a third of the teams are tier 9 and the rest are all the way tier 8. So that should give us quite a few hit points that we can farm on the enemy team without having to stomp our way through some very unfortunate lower tier machines. Now, as I already mentioned, this replay won't really be about epic maneuvers, but rather about some very effective farming, so for the most part I rather would like to talk about the S1 and how it's perceived. So over the past months we received a lot of very powerful T-rate premiums, so much so in fact that a non-regular player might have actually difficulty keeping up with all these news. We have of course now the Scorpion G, the Liberté, the Patriot, the Defender, and now the STRV S1 as well. Now, most of these machines have been called horribly overpowered by a lot of the reviewers, because, you know, a tank is either crazy overpowered or a complete garbage and there is nothing between them. The term overpowered though is so vague and subjective that it's almost completely meaningless these days. I mean, what does it even mean for premium tanks? For some it means that the tank is more powerful than the regular tanks on the tech tree, which we certainly can't argue as of late. On the other hand though, I feel people have been painting perhaps a false picture to a lot of times about the capabilities of these machines and what regular players should expect from them. More often than not, a lot of these really powerful machines thrive in a certain situation and or have a rather high skill ceiling, thus becoming extremely dangerous in knowing hands. What a lot of times ends up happening though is that people shouting overpowered at everything sells a lot of premium tanks, and Wargaming just loves these overpowered alert videos and articles, by the way, and then a lot of people just simply don't do that well in them as they expected to. I mean, honestly, do you have a heart attack every time you meet a Patriot or a Defender on the battlefield? I know I don't. I take them out with a special kind of glee, and I rarely feel that if I was defeated, it was because of the machine and not because of the player. Now, that's not to say that these tanks would not be powerful, because they truly are, but you have to know how to play them to do well in them. And that's where we get back to our STRV S1. The tank that probably was called the least overpowered from all these recent releases, and yet the tank, or better to say tank destroyer, that I feel most people would actually do the best in. It has a relatively limited skill cap, a defensive sniping optimal playstyle, combined with an absolutely brutal 288mm of penetration on your standard APCR rounds and a 0.29 meters dispersion while in siege mode. And if that would not be enough, from the front you will simply auto-bounce everything fired at you from a 90mm gun or below. It's really easy to do well in this thing. You really only need to know some good sniping spots and you are good to go. Now, that's not to say that player skill would be completely irrelevant in this machine. There is certainly a lot that you can do to enhance your results, like knowing to move with the battle to always be in the best position, for example, whether that means advancing or falling back, or knowing when you can simply bully your opponents comfortably. Our hero in this match, by the way, is a really good player, make no mistake. So, summing it up, if sitting back and trashing everything from a distance does not sound boring to you, then the S1 perhaps is one of the most powerful tier 8 premiums in my opinion that is simple to use to great effect. Damn, that almost sounded like a marketing pitch in itself. Let's get back to the game instead. Alright, so let's just sum it up what happened here in the meantime. The team really didn't do that well. We are seriously down in number of tanks, as we get a couple of nice shots there into those AMX 1390s. You can just see how absolutely amazing the aim time on this thing is. As soon as we turn, we are pretty much good to go with maximum accuracy, something that can't really be said from all that many tanks. So, we are down by 3 tanks. Oh, maybe we can pull back on it. No, unfortunately, 288mm were just not enough to kill that Indian Panzer. Which is rather unlucky. We must have hit there either the side of the turret or maybe probably the gun, not to be able to do any damage there. And then we managed to put some lovely shots into the Lorraine 40T, who on the other hand is right now feasting on the very poor Jagdtiger. And then the T-54 finishes him off, bringing us down in a 2 versus 5 situation. Now we still have a relatively low HEF Emil-2 on our side, which will come rather useful. And that's when we spot the T-28 prototype. Now we must be like a nightmare for that guy, because apart from the great gun that thing packs, which would be by the way absolutely going through our armor, overmatching us completely, so the T-28 prototype apart from the gun really only has its armor to go for it, which is rather strong for a tier 8, is however absolutely no match for this gun. Unfortunately we missed there the second shot, which is rather a pity. And there are now 2 enemy tanks in the gap, forcing our hands to come and reset as they should. Right now we are in a rather strong position there with the Emil-2 on the corner and us behind this ridgeline, as the T-28 prototype takes an absolutely unnecessary risk there, poking his head out. So forcing us to come and reset is absolutely the perfect thing to do. Scorpion G makes an appearance as well. It seems like all those dangerous tank destroyers on full health are making now their appearance. We really should not be shot by that guy, that would definitely hurt a lot. However, I think that one hurt a little bit too, as we double tap that guy and take out the 40T. Fortunately, Scorpion for the second time finds his mark and with a single penetrating hit brings us down to half health. And that's how quickly things can turn around in the S1. Certainly this is not a frontline warrior. Now the Emil-2 did leave it until the last minute for the reset and he is still hesitating there. There is no time left though, the Scorpion G is on our side, however we have to get the reset. We can't really trust the Emil-2 and it would be really a shame to lose at this stage. So we take out the T-28 prototype, getting the reset, however the Scorpion G will have a shot into us. Luckily we survive, he doesn't roll high enough and on 88 hit points we get away. However, as we try to crawl away, the T-54 gets the shot in. Come on, oh, this is awfully close. Come on, Emil-2. Get the kill. Yes. And that means that we sailed home an over 7,000 damage victory. Alright, this was then our Swedish farming simulator in the S1, having farmed most of the enemy team for their hit points quite successfully. Not surprisingly then, this was an ace tanker and tank sniper game, and with over 7000 damage, I don't think the high caliber is a huge shock either. By the way, kudos to our Emil2 for pulling in that final kill. It might not have been a clean one, but without him this would have been a rather sad heartbreak indeed. And as for the details, we fired a total of 26 rounds in this match, hitting 23 of them and penetrating 19. Now that might be a little bit surprising considering the accuracy and the penetration of this thing, but I have to admit we have been a little bit unlucky there with some of the shots bouncing off from that VK, for example. Anywho, with a premium account, this was actually an over 115,000 credit net profit match, which is an absolutely beautiful payout for about 8 minutes of work. Right then, I hope you did like our little farming adventure. If you did, thanks a lot for considering giving this a like or sharing it. And of course, special thanks to Chevalier for sending this one in, among other great S1 replays I might add. And also congratulations here to an absolutely monster result. As for the next videos, tomorrow we are changing to something a little bit more mobile with a Funny Moments 9.18 light tank special, and then on Thursday we will have an extra pure gameplay episode with the 9.18 ELCAMX wielding that nerfed 90mm gun. Can it still carry games? We'll have to find out. Thanks a lot for watching everybody, and I already look forward to seeing you again in one of the next videos.